After spending 5 years in the streets as a vendor, I realized that each man is in charge of whether they make it or break it in business. I've put together pragmatic business nuggets for entrepreneurs that have sustained me in the most uncertain economic times. Join me on this journey to impart this business wisdom to the movers and shakers. Together, let's build a strong network of entrepreneurs who break limits. Welcome our viewers and our listeners to Ask Jerry the Chartered Vendor. This is the best, the premium business show in the country. It's also on YouTube, it's also on the podcasts. Here we want to demystify this animal called entrepreneurship. We want to focus and to develop other entrepreneurs in Zimbabwe and Africa all over. Today I've got my guest, Beauty Perai, who is the Group Sales Manager of M&J. Welcome, Beauty, to Ask Jerry the Chartered Vendor.
Thank you so much, Jerry, for having me.
Thank you so much. Yes, we want to talk about sales today. You have been the sales manager. You have worked in various positions as a salesperson. The way I met Beauty, she's one of my best recruitments, my direct recruitments, whilst I was working in other companies and whilst I was also working as a chief servant at M&J. What sells according to you, and what drives sales, or what do you see other entrepreneurs lacking in terms of sales?
Okay, thank you so much. You mentioned that I've been in sales I've worked in various sales positions. That's true. I've been working in sales this is like my 7th year in sales.
Okay.
Yes. From what I view, or how I view sales, I would say sales is a way of life. And one problem that we as entrepreneurs or salespeople in Zimbabwe rather, the problem that we have is that we view sales as an exchange of money.
Okay.
And maybe a service or a product, which is very wrong. Because if you look at it and if you learn about sales more, you get to understand that for you to get an agreement, it involves sales. Mm-hmm. For you to get whatever you want in life, be it from someone, a promotion, it's sales. And if you look at it, a commission is considered to be the amount of money that you get from a sale.
Okay.
When in reality, it's actually the reward of being able to negotiate.
Okay.
So I'd say sales is the art of negotiation or getting an agreement.
Okay. I've noted that she's saying sales is an art. Sales actually makes you get whatever you want in life. So I've noticed a trend. When you say I'm working as a salesperson, most people, they quickly think of those people who work in maybe in-store, bakers in, or chicken in, or people who work in as maybe direct sales vendors. How does every organization, be it a church, be it a company, does every organization need salespeople? And salespeople, do they need to have positions of maybe carrying a sales title, just like you?
Not even. They don't need a sales title. Mm-hmm. Every organization needs sales. Because I'll give you an example. For us to grow as a church, say maybe we're a church, for us to grow as a church, which means we have to convince other people that our church is the best. Uh-huh. Yes. What's different is the way that we use. If you look at it in this period or in this era, it's usually the church that actually brings in miracles according to what people say. Mm-hmm. Yes, deliverances. So that means if we just deliver each other and we know it by ourselves, we are not able to get more people. We need to get people to really understand or get sold to the deliverance that we offer. Okay. So it doesn't have to be an organization which sells services or products. Mm-hmm. Yes. Any way that you need a lot of people, any way that you need to convince people to work with you, there is sales involved. You mentioned something about in school. It brought me back. I used to think for you to be a salesperson, you need to be light in complexion, because I would see if you go to parcels, if you go to
you always see light girls.
Yes. So I used to think there are a certain type of people or certain traits or physical features that are required for you to be a salesperson. But in reality, every organization, be it a political party, be it a church, there is sales involved, because we need people to come through to us, we need people to believe in us. That means we have to sell them to our vision.
Okay. So in short, we are just saying everyone can be a salesperson, and everyone in the organization must be carrying their job, or is supposed to be taking care of clients,
Yes.
keeping clients, or
Yes.
getting clients.
Yes.
If you don't have in your organization, if the position is not doing the three which I have mentioned, that position maybe needs to be removed altogether. So if you've got a receptionist, if you've got an accountant, if you've got someone who's dealing directly with the sales, someone in the operations, end of the day they are all salespeople. So we're in agreement. So you
Yes.
talk about something about, we said something about the traits of good salespeople.
Yes.
What makes someone a good salesperson? To say, this person now, I think this person can sell. You talked about you don't have to have physical features for you to be considered a salesperson. You don't have to be light in complexion. You don't have to speak too much for you to be called a salesperson. So, are salespeople born, or they can be trained?
They can be trained. What matters the most is the attitude, because it all starts from the attitude. When you don't have the right attitude, when you don't have the positive attitude, that means you're not going to be trained and grasp everything. So sales is a skill that is actually trained. You are actually trained for you to gain that skill. No one is born a salesperson. You don't have to be talkative to be able to sell. So we are looking at how you actually communicate. It all starts from your mind, because attitude is like a state of mind.
Exactly.
So the trait that we are supposed to look for when we're looking for a salesperson is a positive attitude.
Okay.
The rest we can actually train, because there's more when it comes to sales. It's not just the attitude. We are now looking at how you are supposed to do things for you to get results as a salesperson.
Okay. You talked about the traits, which is good attitude. So what you're saying is someone is supposed to have a good attitude for them to sell.
Yes.
Okay. Which yes, attitudes, maybe that's a broad word. Let's say you are narrowing down, you want to add someone in your sales team. What kind of attitude will you be looking at? Do they always smile? Are you looking at how they dress? Are you looking at how they come early, how they show up early, how they talk? Which other good attitude is kind of broad? What specifically, for the sake of our listeners, maybe they want to know, we want to narrow it down. Which traits are we looking for in actually someone who has got potential to be trained in order for him to be a good salesperson, or for her to be a good salesperson?
Yes. Thank you so much, Jerry. We are looking at, you mentioned something that is very vital, the smile. There's a saying that goes, smile irregardless. As a salesperson, you need to be able to smile irregardless of what you're going through, irregardless of what happens. Because in sales, you might meet a very easy going client.
Exactly.
And then you meet a driver of a client who knows it all and who wants, like, you get to put a lot of effort, and at times it's sort of like hard. Yes. So it doesn't have to be visible. So we need someone who's able to smile over the phone. With someone who's able to smile even after they get a cold response from the client. And also the way you dress is actually very vital in terms of portraying your attitude. It shows that, are you serious, or you're just coming to work for the sake of coming to work. And then you mentioned something about punctuality. Punctuality is very important. It's one of the key aspects that you have to look at when you get someone. And you mentioned recruitment. When you're recruiting a salesperson, they're supposed to be 30 minutes early for the interview. Because punctuality is very key. Then persistence, which is someone that you cannot really tell during the first interview, but as you go. But there are ways that you can actually check if someone is persistent, if they're willing to do whatever it takes.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you so much. So what she's saying she can look at someone who comes to work too early, someone who's going to show up too early for the interview, someone who's willing to be persistent, someone who's willing to take those blows. But from my understanding is, when you are in sales, sometimes you're going to be rejected. Sometimes people are going to say, no, we don't want to deal with you. Some people are going to say, come after 10 months. Some are going to say, come after a year. Some are going to say, come after a week. So what we are just saying is, you really need to have that patience and perseverance. That leads me to another question. You talked about something which is essential. how do you, for the sake maybe of our viewers and our listeners, how do you recruit a salesperson? How do you think you can now identify that that person has got good attitude? That person can come into my team and we can train them.
Okay. Over the years, I've realized that the normal way of recruiting is more interview, which I can release and give you answers that you want to hear.
Mm-hmm.
So in essence, I'm saying people lie
Exactly.
to get a job. So I'm saying if you really want to work with us, right? If you really want to be part of my sales team, I need to be able to understand if you are willing to go an extra mile, if you are willing to do whatever it takes. Because when it comes to sales from my side, it's not a piece of cake.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, it's a lot of work, it's a lot of effort, whereby at times you need to go an extra mile. So for us, we get to evaluate your persistence by giving you something that you're not expecting. I tell you, you can even come through looking to get a sales job.
Uh-huh.
But what I'm simply going to do, I'm simply going to ask you to wash 5 of our cars.
Yeah.
And you're not expecting it. Then I'm able to see the attitude that you're going to portray if I give you an assignment.
Yeah.
If maybe I'm to send you to my client who is in Marundi,
Uh-huh.
I'm able to see it from that. If you are willing to clean those cars so that you can be part of my team, I know you're going to be determined and you're going to be persistent and you're part of my team. That's one thing that we use. It's not just washing cars. You can do something that is unexpected and you see the response. It will tell you. Because you mean, during the process we've seen people that will be like, monopenga.
Exactly.
How do you make people run? How do you make people wash cars? But we are simply testing the process and we trust our process because all the people that have gone through that, they are one of the best. And you are guaranteed that they do not quit.
Exactly.
If you find someone whom you say wash this car or clean this, especially guys, when you clean and wash plates, they'll be like, no.
Okay.
You know they are going to be quitters along the way. Because sales is not an easy game.
Okay. Sales is not an easy game. Sales is not for quitters. Sales is for people who are determined, people who have got patience, people who are willing to do whatever it takes, people who are willing to jump off the building for the sake of the organizations. Those are the people she is saying she wants them to be part of a sales team. So, you are talking about, we want to continue maybe to get more on terms of how do we identify those people. Maybe just take me through the whole process. Because someone might say they're out there, they want to join you in your sales team. Are you checking them from the qualifications? Because someone with a degree might say, I don't want to run. I don't want to wash your cars. Which pool, who do you take in order for them to be salespeople? Are you taking from the university? Are you taking A-levels? Are you taking people with diplomas? Or is it just open for everyone?
Well, thank you for that question. For my sales team, I don't care about qualifications. To clarify this, I'm not even qualified. I don't have a degree. I don't hold any degree. I'm just an A-level student. I didn't proceed. Because you mentioned something that is very valid. That when someone is actually a graduate, they'll be like, I don't want to run. When it comes to sales, my sales team is open for everyone. I look for someone who is willing to go an extra mile. I look for someone who is willing to be part of my team. You mentioned that some people would want to join us, they want to understand the process. For us, before you even get a chance to sit in front of me and tell me those lies that I was talking about, I give you a simple task to read a book and finish it in 24 hours. At times it's 8 hours because I usually give a book maybe in the afternoon. Then your interview will be based on the book that you're reading. And I need a video. And I need a video. Because when you send your video, I'm able to see your face. It's easy for me to be very nice on the phone, yet I'm actually not very nice. But you get to see the expressions that someone gets to make when they're talking, you get to see. So the first part is actually a video and you read the book before you come through.
Okay.
Yes.
Great. You are saying, I understand the whole process, and you mentioned something which is very crucial. I've been telling these people that she just has an A-level, she doesn't have a degree, she doesn't have a diploma, but she's the best salesperson we have in the house. How did you become, people might have a lot of questions. How now do you manage to get into a meeting with 5-10 directors who are asking questions, maybe degreed chartered accountants. Where are you getting these skills? Or how are you learning? Maybe because I know that sales sometimes you need to be continuously developing yourself. You want to understand, what are you not maybe the one in a million? Or people, they can say there are many people out there who have got A level, who have got O level, but they are not being given opportunities, because organizations will be always asking for people who are degreed. What do you have to say in terms of getting people, maybe people who haven't gone to school, but these people maybe they were naturally intelligent, because people may just say, now this girl maybe she's naturally intelligent. How did you become the person you are to say you can convince the whole board of directors? You can go out there and people, they can presume that you've got a degree. People, they even think that you've got a master's. Let us get a bit personal. What differentiates yourself from others?
Okay, thank you for that question. Okay, for me, rather I should explain. I think the most important aspect that led me to where I am is putting my all. Like I've seen a lot of people who are like, I need to work at the same time, I need to go to school, I need to go. I'm not saying going to school is bad, but I've noticed that when your attention is divided,
exactly,
at times there's one thing that suffers, and you it's like you're confused on where exactly you should channel your energy. I read a lot of books.
Exactly.
I've learned that for you to be best at what you do, you need to be obsessed. I tell you, I don't know, you mentioned 1 in a million. It's for me, it's very rare for me to. I don't like to operate it's the level that everyone does. Yes. You mentioned how exactly am I good? I train every day.
Okay.
By training every day, I'm not really talking about an hour or 20 minutes. I try to approach every scenario that I'm going to meet by preparing myself. It goes from the way that I'm supposed to hold myself up, from the way that I'm supposed to communicate. And even if I look at it from this view, you mentioned board of directors, there's the aspect of product knowledge. I've told myself that as part of my training, I need to be able to know everything that happens in within my organization. So I continuously research on what we do. I continuously research on the value that we give clients. So for me, I took sales not as a job, but I took sales as a part of my life. I'm obsessed everywhere that I am. I'm always talking about my job. I'm always looking for ways to improve. But most importantly, I owe it all to my boss. Like, he's a way of training which is very different. I tell you, you reach a point where you want to cry. You reach a point where you think you can't go on. But I've realized that pressure makes diamonds. So he is my mentor, and he has trained me in ways that I'm able to tackle everything that comes to me, and I'm willing to learn every day. I'm willing to grow myself. I'm willing to develop myself.
Okay. Oh, thank you so much, Beauty. You are tuning in to Ask Jerry, the Chartered Vendor. As you can hear yourself, be obsessed or be average, as she's narrating why she's actually the best salesperson. We are taking a break. See you on the other side. Welcome back to Ask Jerry, the Chartered Vendor. This is the best business show in the country. As I'm hanging out with Beauty Perai, who is the group sales manager of M&J. When we took a break, you were narrating about how you have become a salesperson you are today. Maybe the best salesperson at M&J, maybe also the best salesperson in the country. Who knows? So, I want maybe for the benefit of the young people who are out there, someone who didn't have an opportunity to go to school, someone who was never exposed in the environment, like to have a diploma, to have a degree. Some people, they didn't even finish their O level. What do you have to say to them? How can they tap into the skills which you are currently possessing?
Okay, thank you for that question. What I can say is never approach the opportunity that you have at that time is something that is temporary. The challenge that we have, what I've noticed is when we don't have that opportunity, yes, you might be driven to the vision that I want to be a lawyer or I want to be a doctor. But you need to take each step as it comes. We have an issue yekuti, let me just say this in Shona so that transistor. Kunonzi ndichatsvaga basa rekuti ndiraise mari yekuti ndiende kuchikora. And when it's like that, usually you're not putting your all in terms of actually learning from what you have or from the job that you have at that time. So you're constantly concentrating on how you should get money and proceed to the next. Like the issue of my bus stop. Don't take the opportunity that you have as a bus stop. Rather, focus on it, put your all in it, and learn as much as you can from an environment that you are. I tell you one thing, the only way that you're going to grow is you approach what you're doing as a part of you, not a job. Because when you develop a mindset that I'm just doing it because it's a job, you then end up being an 8 to 5 person that I have to be in this age. So I've learned that in every space that I am, I have to learn as I go. And you look up to people, like you can have a mentor and focus on what was their dream. Because you're only concerned about what comes in the future, not right now. Because if you look at all the successful people, they've got a history.
Exactly.
I think I'm always going through Grant Cardone because I learned sales through Grant Cardone. He was saying he used to work, his first job was with a car dealership. He didn't like the job at all, but he wasn't content. By not being content, it doesn't mean that you have to constantly look for opportunities. That's the problem that we have. We are often looking for opportunity. You never get to learn anything. But he had to put his own, sort of like being obsessed with what he had, and he learned as much as he can. The amount of money that he's making from sales is from the experience that he got. So whenever you get an opportunity to learn as much as you can. Don't take a stage in life as stage as a pastor.
Okay. So you can hear it yourself. She's just saying, stop looking for greener pastures. Make where you are greener. So what she's just saying is be committed. You are supposed to focus on your job. You are supposed to take whatever you are doing there seriously. So I've noticed maybe at one point, how is I met these other people in Headlands, and they were saying they were trained by this other South African sales trainer. She's a guru in terms of sales. They said if you don't have a lot of turnover in your sales department, it means you're not going at enough speed. Kindly explain the kind of turnover maybe which you have experienced in your career as a salesperson. Because someone can say, no, I think people are coming here after 2 days trying to implement everything, they fail and they leave. And entrepreneurs, they start to panic when people leave their organization. They were naturally told that staff turnover is bad for business. So I want you to maybe narrate other scenarios which you faced or other things which are out of this world which happened in your sales department, number one. Then number two, we also want to maybe tell those who are keeping their sales department intact for 4 or 5 years, but without even reaching the targets. What do you have to say to those people? The first question is, I want to know about the issue of turnover. The second question, I want you to have words for those who are keeping the people who are not even producing anything.
I should say I have the most staff turnover in my staff department, in my sales department.
Reason being?
I don't tolerate people. Like, I don't have to tolerate you to be part of my team. You have to do whatever it takes. We have a certain standard that we have. We are never going to compromise it for any James or any Susan that's going to come. So what we're simply saying is, when you're part of my team, you have to be a beast. You learn every day. I talked about pressure. I talked about how you have to be willing to do whatever it takes. So usually what scares people away from my sales team, you're not just coming to work, you're coming to train. We train every day. I think we're still at 0.05% as compared to where we want to go. So if I'm going to tolerate every person that they're going to come and then they stay.
Do whatever they want.
Exactly. We're going to have a problem because I have targets.
Exactly.
I have to reach my targets. And if you're going to lure me down or slow me down, you have to go.
Okay.
Yes. So the only problem that we have is we think we have to tolerate everything. tinofana kunzwisisa. There's a certain level that you have to reach in terms of kunzwisisa.
Exactly.
There's a scenario whereby you see potential and you see you have to push very hard. Then you see a person, yes, they don't even have the potential. They don't like to be pushed. They just want to sit. So let's not tolerate lazy people. Let's not tolerate people who are not fit to be part of our team. That's what I can say. It's good to realize in the early stages that these people are not part of your team. They are not moving with you because they will slow you down. Because if you tolerate everyone, you actually help people grow, or help people as they are using your internet, your Wi-Fi, your time to look for other opportunities. At first I was like that. I was so like, I was like a mother. You don't have to be that mother who's always carrying their child. No.
So when you're building a sales department, they are saying you need to be tough. You need to be, you're not supposed to be like building a family. You're building a business.
Yes.
And business is all.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, we can move forward. What about those who are now keeping people? Because yes, entrepreneurs, firing people is very difficult, and it needs maybe a heart of a lion in order for you to do that. So maybe you can explain to us a person who have removed, maybe you cannot mention names, but you just want maybe to tell people a case which we had and someone crossed the line and you had to remove them from the source team. What would they have done?
Okay. We are looking at a scenario whereby I get to explore everyone, their talents, their failures, or their areas of lacking that we need to work on. And we are trying to move together. We are trying to grow you as a source person, but you're not willing. You feel like I'm fighting you. Then you reach a stage where I'm saying, let's go east, you're going west. Let's go east, you're going west. Eventually, I get to realize that we are not going the same direction. Yes, because what's going to happen is that I can tolerate you, then I end up losing maybe 3 of my best, because the influence that has on my team is very huge and very negative, and it can affect the standard that I have. Because if I'm to tolerate you, that means the next person is going to say, if she can tolerate that, then she can tolerate me. So if we're not moving in the right direction, if we're not moving together, I tell you go east, you like to go west. Or I'll give an example. If I tell you that we are supposed to train every day and you do not want to train, you go. Because you don't have a skill, you don't want to train, so what do you want to do? You end up having people that are entitled to my position. And when you have people that are entitled, they'll be like, this shouldn't have been done to me. Because I'm the source person. No, we don't have I'm the source person. We're constantly training and we're constantly training. You're not part of us.
Okay. So it's either you are supposed to train or you're going to be trained by beauty. So what I want also to ask in terms of training becomes handy when it comes to sales. And for the sake of us and our listeners, tell me more about training. How do you guys train? Do I need to train every day for me to be a salesperson? Do we need to train periodically? Do we need to train like lawyers and medical doctors, like what they do in their practices? What do you have to do when you want to be an accomplished or a professional salesperson?
When you want to be a professional salesperson, you don't train like a doctor. It's not really about theory. You have to train every day. And you train by creating experience, because we learn, we implement, we analyze where we are lacking, we rectify rightly. So if we're looking at a scenario whereby we're just training periodically, that means we're going to focus on a certain topic. From experience, I've noticed that if we're not training every day, we forget. Yes. So if we forget, that means we are constantly have to going back, start the training again, so we're not moving forward. So if you want to be part of my team, you have to be willing to train every day. By every day, I'm not looking at a second. I'll give an example of my routine. The first hour or 30 minutes of the day, we train.
Okay.
Yes, and at the end of the day, we train and also review our work so that we're able to identify areas that are lacking and we rectify them. So we learn every day by creating experience, implementing what we've learned.
Okay. So learning and training every day is pivotal for you to be a salesperson. You need to train every day from experience also. I know that if you get some other concepts today, after maybe a day after you'd have forgotten, or sometimes if you know maybe that the price is not the reason why people buy, after about 3 months or so, you'll be now reducing the price, thinking that if I reduce the price, maybe the customers are going to come to me. Usually when you start to suffer, maybe sales declines, that's when you start to say, no, I think the issue about prices, I think maybe because people are not coming to us because of prices, it's because they're forgotten. So every day you need to be wired, every day you need to be tuned, every day you need to be reminded that price is a myth. People, they don't buy because of price. I'm just taking price as an example, but this is the reason why you need to train every day, even in the gym. If you ever notice those guys who go to the gym, constantly they are hitting the iron, they are going to the gym, because if they stop going to the gym, their body starts to actually also take a different shape. So for you to be in shape as a salesperson, sales is a science. You need to train regularly. That is what beauty is saying. To say the day she wakes up 31 hour, it's their training. The end of the day, they are also focusing on training. So what kind of material do I need? Maybe I want to train my sales people. I want to, do you think they need a sales coach or a sales trainer in their organizations? Maybe they don't have someone who's qualified to train people, or they can just train without maybe someone who's qualified. Because I know with soccer, you need to have a lot of certificates for you to be called a coach. Even with these business coaches, they get a lot of certificates also for them to be called certified coaches. So in this sales now, can someone just wake up today and say, no, I'm now training people without the proper material, or without material which is available? Maybe just because I've got the experience, I was selling this certain product for 20 years. What do you say on that?
Okay, training with an unqualified person is like blind people leading each other in the dark, for that matter. Because we are looking at a scenario whereby we are teaching each other what we don't know.
Exactly.
Yes. And you also mentioned something about experience. There are two types of experience. I can have experience in doing wrong things.
Yeah, 10 years experience. They like writing that on their resume. I've got 15 years experience of doing it. You can go ahead.
Yes, because we are looking at a scenario whereby you have 6 years, 7 years, but we need to see the results. You have been in sales for 7 years. What was the result? I can be in sales for 8 years and I've never by once reached my target or come close to my target.
We are working for those kind of organizations which can just tolerate nonsense.
Exactly. So we can't be trained by someone like that. But we need someone who has traceable results based on the experience that they have. They worked 7 years in the industry and they've been constantly hitting targets, surpassing targets, and they need to have material. Because it's not just like, when you're selling, you need to approach these people and you get money. When you don't get money, look for the next person. That's not it. So you need someone with a traceable reference of what we have done in sales. And then that people that use material that you can constantly use.
Oh, okay. So she's saying we need material to train. You need someone who's qualified to coach you to be a professional salesperson. It was a pleasure hanging out with you, Beauty. So thank you so much, Beauty. We are really excited for having you on this show. I hope you're going to return again with other nuggets which are going to give people in terms of sales, in terms of knowing sales. Since you said sales is a science, so I hope it's a big subject which we need to discuss further. So thank you, our viewers. Thank you, our listeners. You need to subscribe on our YouTube channel to get these shows. Please hit the subscription button, and you can also hit the bell button below for you to get these videos whilst we premiere them. So thank you so much for having us on Ask Jerry, the Chartered Vendor. For now, goodbye.